December 31, 2025. In a case that has sent shockwaves through the NFL and beyond.
Breaking right now on WBZ, New England Patriots star Stefon Diggs is facing serious criminal charges. We have just obtained paperwork from Dedham District Court indicating that the wide receiver is charged with felony strangulation or suffocation and misdemeanor assault and battery. This is stemming from an incident back on December 2nd. Diggs is scheduled to be arraigned on the charges in Dedham on January 23rd. That is just 2 days before the AFC Championship game. The wide receiver's attorneys were in court this morning for a hearing, and we are working to learn more about the incident that led to these charges. We did reach out to the Patriots for a statement. We have that for you here. It says the New England Patriots are aware of the accusations that have been made regarding Stefon Diggs. Stefon has informed the organization that he categorically denies the allegations. We support Stefon. We will continue to gather information and will cooperate fully with the appropriate authorities and the NFL as necessary. Out of respect for all of the parties involved, and given that this is an ongoing legal matter, we will have no further comment at this time. We want to bring in Dan Roach now to talk about this with us and the impact, Roachy, that this could have for the team, for the playoffs. We've been on such a roll. How does Coach Vrabel make sure that this doesn't become a distraction for them?
Well, Brianna, I think it's very early in the fact-finding part of this as far as just what happened, how it happened, when it happened, who was involved, and everything else, which we haven't seen or heard yet. So I think that's the first part of it. And then the second part to me is that he categorically denies it when it comes to what happened. So we're going to have to find out the story. Beyond that, I can tell you that as a veteran, a wide receiver, a number one wide receiver coming in, there were questions about Steph Diggs and, how would he behave? How would he handle it? A lot of the number one wide receivers could be divas, if you call it, at times. And he has been nothing but a role model, a perfect citizen in that clubhouse or locker room for this New England Patriots team. So much so that he's emerged as a leader. The players look up to him. I think the coaching staff certainly respects him. And everything that he's done in a Patriots uniform has been good for the team. In fact, just the other day, post-game, after their win over the Jets down in New Jersey, he was speaking in the locker room talking about being 30 yards away from being a 1,000-yard wide receiver, I think, for the 7th time in his career. And he had knee surgery last year and came back, and I think it meant a lot to him. He was almost, to me, kind of emotional, almost in tears, saying he just wants to win, that these milestones don't mean as much to him anymore in his career. At this point of his career, he just wants to win, loves this team, and wants to be a part of them trying to win a Super Bowl. So, like I said, it's again, nothing surprises me, in sports anymore. But I think for everything that we've seen and have been with the guy from day one here in that Patriots locker room, he's been nothing but a role model citizen. So we shall see how it unfolds. But from my perspective, he's been everything you want as a teammate, as a leader, as a New England Patriot so far.
Yeah, Roachy, certainly a lot of positive things ahead of him. He's a dad, has a new baby with Cardi B. But again, here, the breaking news, he is going to be arraigned 2 days before the AFC Championship. So we will see what happens. We will stay on top of it. Roachy, thank you for your insight, as always, here.
And, of course, the charges themselves may seem self-explanatory to lay people, but there's always a lot to it. We want to enter in WBZ legal analyst Jennifer Roman here to help us make sense of all this. Jennifer, first things first, we have a felony charge and a misdemeanor charge. Can you explain each one or both?
Sure. So the felony charge would carry with it a much more serious sentence than the misdemeanor charge, and it would include the potential for imprisonment in the state prison versus just the regular jail. So the nature of the charges make them very different. We don't know if it's a strangulation or a suffocation at this point. We don't really know what the facts are supporting these allegations, but that is definitely the more serious charge of the two. The assault and battery would carry a sentence up to 2.5 years in the House of Correction as a misdemeanor if convicted. Whether or not somebody gets if convicted, whether or not somebody actually receives the type of sentence they receive depends on the nature of the crime, whether or not they accept responsibility in any way, show remorse, but also whether or not there is a prior criminal history here that would support a harsher sentence. So as this all sort of still is unfolding. We really don't know a whole lot. We'll know more at the arraignment later in January. That should provide some more details about what the allegations are and would shed some light on what potential sentence could look like if he's actually convicted.
Okay, so you mentioned that arraignment. That's January 23rd. There was this motion hearing today. Can you explain briefly, lay terms, what a motion hearing is?
Sure, it's just a way to ask the court to do something that you want. So in this case, the defense is making a formal request that the file be impounded, which would keep it out of the public purview, would keep it away from the press. Those types of motions, when you're talking about somebody who has the kind of star power that Stefon Diggs has,